I'm going to show you exactly how Mikel Arteta masterminded the first Arsenal win since 2017 against champions Man City. Okay, so it was a boring game. Or was it? I suppose if you're some kind of tactical freak,
warning, warning, warning,
then you might have actually enjoyed the game. I love this stuff. I love this type of stuff. They nearly didn't get there though, but this is the master tactical change that took all 3 points. It was
classified information.
You didn't think I'd let you off lightly, did you? So sit back and learn the unsexy side of the game.
The defensive duels.
So the teams were announced in these formations, but it was very different on the pitch for both sides. Even the defensive and attacking shapes were different. Listen, we all know it was heading for a 0-0 all of the way through the game as the teams were cancelling each other out and then one factor took over. But first, let's look at Arsenal in their defensive shape. When Manchester City had the ball in defence, Arsenal created a high press in certain positions. They didn't overpress like they did last season and got beat, but they pressed with kind of 3 or 4 players from the front. When Manchester City moved the ball through or won the ball back from a midfield position, Arsenal then dropped back into a low block, even allowing City the ball in midfield areas. And they only really pressed on the 35-yard mark. This tactic left no space for the likes of Foden, Alvarez and Haaland, with Erling being man-marked mainly by Saliba, with Gabriel sitting slightly behind. On the flip side, Manchester City blocked the middle in a defensive phase in like a 6 shape, as you can see here. There were opportunities for Arsenal in the first half to bypass this midfield block with balls wide to an often unmarked Trossard and also to the other winger Jesus, or over the top. But for some reason, they insisted on trying to play through the block, and this really nullified any meaningful Arsenal attack. Another thing worth noting here is the wide players for both sides. You have Alvarez and Foden prefer to move to the inside, while similar for Jesus and Trossard. They're almost identical. They all want to move inside. They're not natural wingers. And this caused one big problem for the fans and the managers: midfield congestion. Jesus was the widest player of the match. Look at this heat map. And he was obviously told to stay wide, but his lack of pace and dribbling ability killed off any chance creation from the right side. So it was like the Somme in midfield and created a pretty unspectacular first half. Listen, I need to touch on this for a minute. Kovacic, or more importantly, the standard of referees in the world's most watched sport, by the way, with the best league on the planet, by the way. How on earth can we say that he got away without a straight red or even 2 yellow cards? Other sports have it nailed on, and our standard of referees and the team in the VAR room is truly, truly, truly the worst in sport. Anyway, rant over. After half-time, both managers saw the need to bring true wide players on, and Doku and Martinelli come on for both sides respectively, and they entered the fray with a few other substitutions alongside. And this is what won it for Arsenal. For me, Arteta was more daring with his substitutions. He brought Partey, Havertz, Tomiyasu on, who played really far up the pitch, by the way. Look at his heat map. And the breakthrough came when all of these players combined into a beautiful fairy tale ending. Partey carried the ball into midfield. Tomiyasu moved goal side of his marker Foden. Martinelli stayed wide and Havertz took up the striker position. A killer pass to Tomiyasu, who beautifully headed the ball to Havertz. Havertz's first touch meant that Ake got back to mark him, so he laid off a peach of a ball to Martinelli, who was in acres of space after his marker, Walker, had left him to mark Tomiyasu. So the unmarked Martinelli struck home, well, off Ake's face anyway. Oh. And Arsenal were in heaven. So it was the substitutions and the changing roles that broke the Man City formation. Again, look at the heat maps of both sides, with Arsenal's Martinelli and Tomiyasu doubling up on Walker and Havertz, giving the 2 central defenders of Man City something to think about. On the other hand, Man City were more defensive in shape after the substitutions, as you can see from me flipping it on and off here. And this left Haaland even more isolated than a prisoner in solitary confinement. Was it a classic? No. Did certain players underperform? Yes. But all 4 Arsenal players that came off the bench were heavily involved in that killer goal. A boring, if not effective, masterclass by Arteta. Listen, if you like tactics, go and look at what Ange is doing at Spurs on this video. Revolutionary, in my opinion. See you soon.